It's agility. It's responding to the market because it's shifting and it's shifting so fast nowadays. It was shifting fast before. And I feel like if you're an author and you're not up to date on what's happening out there, you're going to get left behind.
Hey, it's Joe Solari, and welcome to Built for Authors, our podcast helping authors understand what solutions there are to solve their problems. Today we have Desireé Duffy, who wears multiple hats. So I'll let you kind of explain all the things you've got cooking in your kitchen.
Oh, yes, all the cooking in the kitchen, all the hats, definitely. So I founded Black Château Enterprises, and Black Château is our PR and marketing agency that focuses on authors. We're a full service agency. And one of the sweet spots we developed many years ago is what we call the Author Network, and it's designed for a book launch. It's a several month strategy, usually 6 or 8 months, with the book release in the middle, doing all of those things that you need to do for a book launch, getting advanced reviews, writing the press release, doing your author branding, pitching for media interviews, giveaways, all sorts of fun stuff. So that's kind of like the core of what I am and what I did. And the reason I did it is because I saw back in 2016 a need for something like that within the industry. And whoa, did the industry ever change from then until now? We started Books That Make You in 2020, and that is our consumer facing brand because we were promoting authors, and the authors need a brand that interacts with the consumer. An
Mhm.
agency isn't really that. So that's where Books That Make You comes into play. And we do editorial reviews there. We do advertising boosts, especially if you need a big splash and jump in sales. And we also do mini campaigns with Books That Make You. And Books That Make You goes to events like Reader Nation. We
Mm.
also do fun things with authors, like we use Books That Make You as the brand when we do author gifting suites at events like prior to the Emmy Awards or the Oscar Awards. We're there in some of those gifting suites with authors signing their books for celebrities and influencers at some real high end cool
Mm.
uh, events like that. And then, as we all know, in 2020, the BookFest was born because we had this thing called lockdown and nobody could go to events, and authors were like, wait, I'm launching my book. What are we going to do? And that's where the BookFest was basically born. And it's still going strong. We do it twice a year in the spring and the fall. It's virtual, it's free, it's fun. Day one is for readers, kind of like what you're doing, Joe, with Author Nation and Reader Nation. We
Mhm.
just flipped it around a little bit. We have day one is for the readers, and then day two is for the writers. And it's panel discussions and conversations. We do giveaways, and we do the BookFest Awards. Authors can submit their books up until for this one up until September 16th, and then we open them again in the spring. So we do it twice a year to give authors more of an option in that way. And we also have lots of great categories for them, and we offer them lots of incentives if they're a winner of a BookFest award. So I know I just babbled on there for a while.
No, no.
That's
I
me in a
mean,
nutshell.
yeah, it's. I know there's a lot to cover. There's like I opened up. There's multiple things that you're doing, but they all fit together in solving the problem around probably the single biggest most authors face, getting visibility and discovery and dealing with how things change, right? For your example of like, hey, we used to go to a lot of live events. We can't go to live events, so we make a virtual event, right? So um, that's where the magic happens is getting those books into people's hands. So
Yeah, it's agility. It's responding to the market because it's shifting and it's shifting so fast nowadays. It was shifting fast before. And I feel like if you're an author and you're not up to date on what's happening out there, you're going to get left behind. So we try to provide solutions based on what authors need now. And also, it's that old Wayne Gretzky quote. I love it. Skate to where the puck is going, not to where it's
yeah,
been. So we
yeah.
try to look ahead to give solutions to authors for like we're even planning some of our campaigns into the new year and Valentine's Day. Because if you're planning ahead and you got that book launch after the first of the year, or maybe your romance book, we want to be able to give you solutions for that. So we do mini campaigns, listicles where we're doing that so folks can plan on a strategic calendar. But at the core of what I think it boils down to is integrated marketing. And that's one of those buzzwords from probably 2012 or 2015. So I'm showing my age, Joe. But it's true. Integrated marketing is just basically all of the things need to work together. And
Mm,
there's lots of folks out there that will give you kind of like an a la carte solution. And you can do this book boost here and you can do this thing there. And that's great for the authorpreneurs. And we try to give them a helping hand with that. But then we're also thinking strategically, like if you're planning, we've got solutions that you can tap into on that journey. Or again, do a full campaign with the author network. And we take a lot of that burden off of authors.
mm. So kind of coming off of that, where do you see a lot of authors wasting time around marketing and where they kind of spin their wheels?
I see them chasing the latest thing. It used to be TikTok. TikTok is just an example I'll use because it changed. I think that's important too. When TikTok first came out, a lot of authors were like, oh, I need to be on TikTok. My niece, she's 16, she's on TikTok all the time, and therefore I must be on TikTok too. And I was like, yeah, you want to be a dancing author? Do you realize what it takes to be on TikTok? And so just because something is popular or that's where all the folks are saying you should go doesn't necessarily mean that's where to go. Then TikTok, and this is where I changed my thesis. TikTok started book talk, and that became a thing.
Mhm.
And a lot of authors were, okay, now I'm ready to be on TikTok. And then I was like, still, are you going to create that content? We could only, as an agency, create so much content for you because it has to have that authenticity
Mm,
and there has to be a there. And then it's a matter of, oh, wait. We can find the influencers that are on TikTok, or quite frankly, that are also on Instagram or wherever they happen to be. Because the social media trends kind of come and go. But if you're looking for influencer type marketing, then we can come in and we can reach out to those influencers, whether they're on TikTok, whether they're on Instagram, whether they have their own blog, their own thing. There's oodles
mhm.
of different places that they exist where they're promoting books. So I see a lot of authors just chasing a thing because somebody told them to chase that thing. And I ask them to be strategic about it and make sure it fits their goals, their energy level, their time commitment. Because just because everybody says be on TikTok, that's a lot of time commitment. But can you advertise on TikTok or any social media platform? Can you utilize these platforms in a way that makes sense for you as an author? In other words, this is a thing that you want to do and you want to be on. If you want to be on Twitter X, maybe that's your platform. And also, you need to think about where your readers are. If you write young adult fiction, well, chances are you need to be on TikTok and Instagram, maybe not so much Twitter/X. If your book is a little bit more genre fiction, maybe romance, and you reach a demographic, middle-aged women plus, then sure, you need to be on Facebook. So ultimately, I think what it boils down to is not necessarily chasing something just because that's what a lot of people are saying is out there, considering how it works for you, because every author's book and their journey is going to be different.
Yeah, and I would reiterate what you just said in the sense I yesterday I was on a podcast and they were asking me about like how to prepare for a show, right? And I said, well, the most important thing before you look at any of the programming is understand what your business needs are. And I think that too often we're just thinking like, well, if I do this stuff, then I'll get the results I want, rather than thinking like, okay, what is the reality of my business? What are the constraints that I have to face financially, or what kind of energy level I have to do the stuff? All those different things have to be part of it, or it won't be sustainable.
Yeah.
What are some of the kind of mindset things that you think people are kind of following on from that could like shift or do to like be better in this space of integrated marketing?
I think looking at all of the strategies that you need, even if it's making a list of what it is that you need to do, again, based on your book and genre. You and I talked about this idea before. I mean, there's different types of authors. There are some authors who want to be, or they are on their way to being a prolific author. In other words, they've got a book series or they got many books in store. Compared to the one-time author who's writing their memoir and that's their opus, it's night and day as far as strategy goes. That author of genre fiction who has a series underway, they can do kind of the fun stuff like book cover reveals. That might not work so well for the memoir author whose
Mm,
book cover isn't necessarily going to lend itself to that. So I think the mindset is you need the strategy that makes the most sense for you, and understanding that you're going to have to do some strategy and planning, or you're going to have to work with folks who do. And what I mean by that is, if you have a publisher, or if you're doing, publishing yourself, but you have somebody working with you, your marketing team, PR, etc., you need to basically have that strategy mapped out in order to give yourself and your books the most success possible.
can you walk us through like an example of this, maybe a success story that you have, uh, and if you just have one, or maybe kind of using those two things you talked about, the difference between somebody that's kind of like planning on being repetitive writer versus the one-off folks.
Yeah. So with those genre fiction, especially genre fiction series, there's strategies you can implement. And this isn't nothing new, but understanding that you can do them. And, if you're launching your first book in a series, kind of understanding that that might mean that those sales aren't that great. And there's a couple of reasons why. And it might not have anything to do with the book itself being that great. Folks love to binge. They love series because they want to be able to dig in and read and read. It's the same mentality we have with binging television shows nowadays. There are shows I won't even start it. I don't care how good people are saying it is. I want to wait until I can
Mm,
just binge it at my leisure. Books are the same way. So if you're starting that series and you're launching that first book and you're like, why isn't anybody buying book one or even book two? It's because you probably need to get to three, maybe even four, before those readers are going to come, because they want to read, 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 and they don't want to wait a year and then read again.
yeah.
So thinking in terms of strategy like that, and you asked about a sample, so I'll give you an
Well, just
example
on
of.
that point, I just want to interject. Like, it's so funny because I've had that conversation with authors where they are also voracious readers in that genre.
Mhm.
And it'll be like, oh, I'm going to put out this book and the next one's coming out in 6 months. And it's like, you understand you're setting yourself up for some disappointment, because as a reader, would you buy that first book? Oh no, I'd wait till the series is done. Okay, just keep that in mind. Like, don't have the expectation that your first book's going to be a bestseller in epic fantasy until book 3 is out. Like, there's just some behavior that is like physics. You're not going to change. Anyhow, I
And
didn't to distract us there, but
no, that's exactly it. And then there are things you can do, especially when it comes to the launch of book three or four, where you start using book one almost as a loss leader. We all know of the campaigns where you can do a 99-cent deal or even a freebie and get people hooked on that first book so that they do buy book two and book three. But again, now you want them buying in rapid succession. So just thinking, just like you said, in those terms can really help, because if you're a writer, you should be a reader. And if you're a reader, then you should be able to understand your own consumers' habits.
mm. So you were going to give us some examples.
An example, kind of on the other side of that, you asked for a success story. One of our authors writes true crime, and when he came to me, he was actually, it was prior to him even having an agent. And I just looked at that genre, I looked at his writing, the book, the concept, all of it. It just boom, it came, it was just like, this is dynamite. So with him, the strategy for true crime was still a little bit different than genre fiction or memoir or any other kind of standalone, because he was putting, he was tapping into that zeitgeist that is going on now. True crime is hot. Think of
Hmm.
all the Netflix series that you can watch about different true crime and the podcasts that are going on. So with his strategy, it was a matter of, he came to me, he's like, should I self-publish or should I go with a publisher? Most of the time, I tell folks that they're probably going to end up self-publishing, but hey, give that agent a shot. And I said to him, get an agent. And he did. And he got a book deal with Rowman and Littlefield. So making sure that you know where your book fits in the marketplace and understanding if it's going to be hot or not. But back to that true fiction author, it was a strategy of getting him on those true crime podcasts. We even went to Crime Con in Nashville. He had a booth there. We were there helping him network and walking around and talking to folks. So it's just an example of, yeah, he was definitely a success. He's, by the way, working on his book too. And just taking what he had, utilizing his strengths, his ability to tell a heck of a good story, and what the market was looking for in that point in time, because markets shifts, genre tastes come in and out of style, just like fashion.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the, after you've been around this a while and you've watched things happen where like something like romantasy where it wasn't that it wasn't there before, it just kind of gets this big uptick and then a lot of people start coming into it and then there may be some oversaturation and things die off, but maybe now the genre is bigger as a whole um than it was before. I've seen that with like science fiction romance too, with different things that have happened. But like you're in a media business, so there's going to be ups and downs and taste changes, and you know we tend as a culture to kind of oversaturate ourselves, right? Like, oh, that all I want is true crime, and then it's like, no, I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear another podcast, right? Like, it's the way it works.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, you're going to be at our show. You're coming to Author Nation. You're going to be there on Monday. You're going to be hanging out all week. What is one of the things that you hope to kind of talk to authors about at the show, and what should they be coming to you to get more information on?
Yeah, I invite anybody to talk to me. I'm an open book, so to speak. If you have questions, I'll prattle off my answers. I'm not afraid to give away the keys to the castle, so to speak. I love talking about books and authors and strategies and just sitting down and even saying, okay, this is where you are with your fantasy series. What are some of the strategies you can do? So I'm happy, more than happy to do that. And then we're also going to be part of Reader Nation with the books that make you brand.
Mm.
So we'll be hanging out with the authors there. There are going to be other vendors there, but then we're going to provide some fun stuff for the readers who might stop by. We do giveaways and things like that under the books that make you brand. So we're going to have some fun with the readers there as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that for folks that are watching this, they're wondering about like what this relationship is all about. Is like to, together we're seeing, okay, there's this really important problem to solve around visibility, and creating this network between readers and writers. And there's a lot of readers that are like they don't know how to find good books. And so the more that we can do that either through Books That Make You or the BookFest or Reader Nation, and make it easier for those connections to happen, right? Not that we can get everybody all the readers they need or all the readers all the books they need, but like helping to be that trusted partner and help each side kind of qualify each other.
Yeah, and on the BookFest side of things, you're bringing one of your featured authors from Nation / Reader Nation to the BookFest. It's very much like you said, like we're collaborating. BookFest is virtual. In a way, we're
Yeah.
not really competing with you because we're not a live event, but because we have a broad reach, we can introduce folks that might not be necessarily aware of what you're doing. Because you're right, here are the authors. They want to reach readers and then they don't know how. And if they go to an event, they might not know exactly how to talk about their book, what to do at a signing. It might be new territory for them. So I think that something like being at Author Nation and then it segues into Reader Nation is really good for authors to have that experience. And I might say too, when it comes to the readers, as authors, you have readers in your family, you have folks that you know. One of the biggest fans or type of fans that you will have as an author are going to be the other authors and their network. It kind of expands out from that. So if you're going to Author Nation, I suggest being at Reader Nation and inviting. Did you bring your mom with you? Is your sister and their family going to hang out with you in Vegas? Then they should be invited to Reader Nation. Being able to show support by introducing your network to other authors is one of the core ways that you're going to get visibility. I think too, a lot of authorpreneurs do this and they do it so well. When they start networking and working together, if they're both writing that romantasy and they're doing email marketing to cross promote with their email lists, to do different giveaways for each other. And it's that old saying in marketing, especially PR, when other people are talking about you, it resonates more so with the consumer than when you're just babbling on and on about your book and doing that sales pitch. So look for ways, I would guess, that you can work with others and really tap into the benefits that the consumers bring to you as an author.
Well, for sure. And if you get into the nitty gritty of the behavioral psychology, too often we think about things like, oh, it went viral. But the reality is, book recommendation is a complex contagion, right? It isn't where you just get the information and then you know it, right? Like if I tell you what the weather is in Chicago, now you know it. It's tr- trusting a resource enough that, old school word of mouth, that you go do it, right? And the more that you build that in your network, it takes time, but then it compounds quietly, and then it looks like it goes viral. But it's really over time. There's those networks I'm building and starting to overlay, and people start to get like, oh, it's funny because I saw that on this virtual book tour, and then I was at the show and that author was there, so I went up and talked to them. Right? It's those multiple touch points. It's the idea. Um, that we're like how we're collaborating in this whole thing is like we don't know how it's going to come together, just trying to get the message out as much as possible so that it naturally forms, whether like in the case of Jeff and I going on at the book fest, you extended that invitation. It's like nobody wants to hear me talk. Like I'm this business guy that's like running a show, but Jeff, who's a big supporter of our show and is, you know, uh, publishes a bunch of authors, has got, million selling series. That's somebody that they're likely gonna want to check out, right? And probably don't know about. Like there's going to be somebody there that doesn't know of him. And then when they see him there and hear about what he writes about, they're going to go look him up and say, oh, look at, he's got this book series. There's 23 books in this series. There's thousands and thousands of reviews, and they'll buy the book, right? Like all those pieces had to come and play for that one transaction that could result in a customer for life.
And he's such a great example of an author who's networking with other authors and he's elevating others by collaborating on books and projects with them. And when you go to an event like Author Nation, Reader Nation, as an author, you never know if you're going to meet your own Jeff. You might hang out with the person who is going to help elevate you. And to your point, those touch points, you can't sit there and say it A leads to B leads to C. It's always different. Even
Mhm.
though there's some tried and true methods that work, think someone like E.L. James. She was writing Twilight fan fiction, for crying out loud. Look at Andy Weir and The Martian. He was kind of blogging this thing and just had that idea that grabbed you.
Yeah.
So there's so many instances where somebody achieved what might be considered that viral moment or that instant success because they went about it in some maybe non-traditional or unexpected ways. And I just gotta say, one of our very first book fests, I think it was actually the first one or the second one of the authors that participated, and they did a giveaway with us. They spoke at the book fest, they participated in the giveaway, which is another thing that we do. They were able to utilize the book fest email list, and that led to them getting a deal. And I can't say too much because they're still under works with it, but getting a television deal for the adaptation of their book. And that's the dream, right? Now, I couldn't have said from the beginning, hey, join the book fest. I think this could lead to your TV deal. But it's those things that come together in those unexpected ways.
Yeah, it's pretty fun how that is. And I think that that's, you know, with our show, one of the things that um we're still kind of getting people educated about is like not everybody is got the same path. Like you hear that a lot, but very few places show all those paths, right? And so sometimes you might look at a speaker and be like, I don't understand why they're speaking there. And it's like, oh, well, they may not sell any books on Amazon at all, but they've got six figures coming into their Patreon account through serialized fiction that they're doing either on a public site or on their website, or they're doing something on Patreon or Ream or all these different, tools that are out there. So like not as an author, you don't want to like chase all those things. I think that's the part where people go crazy is that they come to a show and they say, oh, well, this person's making money doing serialized fiction. I'm going to do that too. It's like, no, pick your path, but understand it's not just becoming a bestseller on Amazon anymore. There's lots of different ways that people are figuring out how to take their stories and converting them into, a money stream. One of the things we're focusing on this year is a lot of the stuff that's coming around audio, right? And I've always been a proponent of that because there is a massive audience of people that love story that will not read. So if you're a diehard, no, it's got to be the printed word, you're ignoring a significant market in audio, right? Awesome, Desiree. It's been great having you on. Why don't you tell folks like a little bit about where they can find all your stuff, and then touch on you're going to be talking at the show. Anything you want to talk about what you're doing at the event as well.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So if folks want to find me, it's blackchateauenterprises.com. Again, that's the agency. Books that make you, booksthatmakeyou.com. And the book fest is thebookfest.com. Not to be confused with all those other book festivals and things out there. We are with that. I love our circle R where we have the registered trademark, thebookfest.com. And the next one is October 25th and 26th. Like free to attend. People can go to the website, you can subscribe, and when you get all the email alerts, plus you get the virtual gift bag that's filled with goodies at the end of each book fest. And you get to see Joe talking with Jeff, as you just heard. As well, we have Tom Parada there. He's the author of The Leftovers. Folks might remember HBO series that was based on that, The Little Children, the election, and many others. He's going to be talking about adapting your book into TV or film because he's done that many times. We have the author chats, we have the big bundle of books giveaways with the children's book giveaways. Plus, we also announced the BookFest Award winners from this fall. And so people will be able to find out if they won an award. People can still enter up until the 16th, and then it'll reset again for the Spring Book Fest. So that's what we got going on. And I invite you all to join us for that. As far as us being at your show, I'm looking forward to connecting with you and your amazing team and talking to authors and being under the Books That Make You umbrella. I invite people to stop by at the book fest too. I think we'll kind of double brand our table so that they can find out more about the book fest, find out about the book fest awards, find out what opportunities might wait for them if they want to do a mini campaign with Books That Make You. And as far as the readers are concerned, they can sign up for the newsletter, sign up to win some stuff, and have some fun with us as well.
Well, awesome, Desiree. It's great having you on. The lawn crew is here, so I'm going to get off before you have to listen to lawnmowers and and weed uh, whippers.
Thought there was something going on in the background there.
Yeah, just the timing, right? Like,
Always happens.
awesome. Well, it's good talking to you, and we'll see you in a couple of months. Well, I'll see you online before then, but
Mhm.
we'll meet in real life in less than 60 days.
I'm looking forward to it. Vegas, baby. Here
All
we
right.
come.